Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com. Today we're taking a quick look at and installing the Barricade brush guard in black, available for the 2015 to 2018 F150, excluding the Raptor models. You should be checking out this brush guard if you want that front-end aggressive protection for both on and off-road use, while also giving you that mean off-road appearance. Protecting your front end is pretty crucial when taking your truck off-road, whether it be extreme off-roading or just hitting some light trails or even just going to the beach. Having that extra protection at the front end can guarantee that your front end is staying safe in the case of somebody maybe backing into you or getting in contact with some of those low-hanging tree branches on the trail. No matter what you're tackling, this has got you covered from head to toe on that front end. As you can see, it's a full wraparound design, which isn't really something you see on every single brush guard in the category. Some of those options just cover the front end, but not really the headlights. Some of them don't have that center grille protection for the glass itself on the lenses. Some of them don't offer that lower bottom protection for the lower bumper. This one has every single base covered. The only thing that this particular brush guard does not have is some grille going across the front to protect this oval logo in the center. But still, it's got something protruding out far enough that if someone did back up into you, it's not going to come in contact with the grille, it'll hit that brush guard first. It also has these rubber stops around the edges. If someone were to back into you, this is going to take the beating and not actually scratch up that paint. The whole thing here is a one-piece heavy-duty tubular steel. What that basically means is this is not a detachable three-piece set like some other options. The headlight protection that comes around here is actually welded to the base on the center. Some of those other options out there have detachable pieces, which in my opinion, and I think you'll agree with this, if it bolts together in three separate pieces, it's just not going to be as strong and as durable as something that is fully welded. So having that one piece is definitely going to come in handy against bigger obstacles. Another thing, those grille pieces in the center here are actually detachable. So you can unbolt the center piece, but this whole thing is welded to the center. Something to keep in mind. If you don't really like the look of this, you can just unbolt them with a hex key and they're out of the way. Another thing worth mentioning is you don't have to cut or trim if you have factory tow hooks. If you do not have factory tow hooks, you will have to make a little bit of modification to cut open a hole here to get those bottom brackets to bolt in. Not a whole lot of cutting, but it is worth noting for the guys without those tow hooks from the factory. The whole thing here is also powder coated in a high quality, high gloss finish in black, as you can see, but there also is a stainless steel finish available if you're not really into this. If your truck has a lot of chrome on the front end, some of those polished stainless steel options do come in handy because they'll blend in a little bit better. I personally like the black finish. It is a little bit stealthier and in my opinion just looks a lot more aggressive. This whole thing in the black finish comes in right under the $400 mark, around $375 for your F150. One more feature I want to point out here with this option, and something I really like, is that it does have these plugs here in the center bar, which you can pop right out pretty easily. They're pre-drilled holes if you wanted to mount a light bar. You can mount that right in the center here without having to drill into the brush guard, thanks to those pre-drilled holes from Barricade. And finally, I think one of the coolest features here on the side, where this extends for your headlights, the curvature on the back end here is identical, or almost identical, to the way that your headlight lines come on this new 2018. The edge of the headlights have that curve, this follows that, so it's really particular to the way it follows those body lines. Barricade did a really good job making sure this fit in with the front end look on your F150. Something I thought worth pointing out. The install is a little bit different for the 2018 than it is for the 15 to 17 models, but all of them come in the same exact kit, just with a couple of different brackets. Something to keep in mind depending on which gen of that F150 you have. The redesigned 2018 uses the brackets we have here. 15 to 17, exact same installation process, but with two different upper brackets. I'll speak about that in just a little bit. The install, 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Pretty straightforward, but because it is pretty heavy, I'd recommend having a helping hand on deck. Being able to have someone lift this into place while you work the ratchet or impact gun goes a long way. It's a little awkward to do by yourself. That helping hand will definitely come in handy. When all said and done, you can expect to have this done in about an hour. Basic hand tools required. I'll show you guys how it gets done step by step, so let's get into it. Tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, extension, 13 and 18 millimeter wrenches, 13 millimeter, 15 millimeter deep sockets, 15 millimeter short socket, 17 and 21 millimeter deep sockets, and a universal swivel joint. The first step here for the installation on our 2018 equipped with tow hooks here. We'll get around to the tow hooks in just a second and I'll explain the difference between a non-tow hook and a tow hook equipped 2018. For now, we're gonna start here with these plastic caps. You wanna pop these off by pushing outward and then just pulling straight off. Those come off pretty easily, and that'll expose the two 21mm nuts over top of those studs that we'll have to take off. So grab your 21mm socket. I'm gonna use an extension here and take these off. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, the next step, you're actually underneath of the front bumper, and you're gonna remove the two 21mm hex bolts or hex nuts attaching it to the frame bracket. You can find that if you follow the fog light to the back of it, and it's directly to the side of the fog light, right on the frame. Same exact size as the two bolts you removed on the front. Repeat for the other side. All right, now we're over on the other side. I'm gonna remove this bumper bolt as well. You want to make sure you have some support on the front of the bumper so it doesn't crash down on you. It's a good idea to thread those nuts back on the front of the bumper just to hold it in place. There we go. Now we can go up to the front and pop the whole thing off. All right, next up, we can remove our front bumper. All right, now we're going to install our top brackets on the back of the bumper here. We have to remove the 13mm nut on the back of the bumper support. We're going to take this one off. Now there's two at the top. You want to do the one toward the outside of the bumper. We're going to pop that off and set that aside. We're going to take our passenger side top mount bracket. That's going to install right here. You want to make sure it's pointing outward. That's how you know it's on the right side. It also has a P stamped on it for passenger. We're going to take the bolt provided in the kit here with a lock washer and a flat washer. We're going to thread that through. All right, tighten it down. Perfect. Do the same thing on the opposite side. All right, next up, we're gonna start removing our tow hooks with our bumper still uninstalled. So right now you can see that there's a splash shield around the tow hook. You're gonna start at the back, pull straight down, and push straight out. We're gonna set these aside. These will not be reinstalled. So with that aside, there are two bolts holding the tow hook in place. Grab your 15mm socket and get those off. All right, repeat on the other side. Next up, we're going to grab our tow hook mounting bracket. Of course, these are driver and passenger side specific. If you have tow hooks, you can reinstall these underneath of the bracket, so it will sit just like this up on the frame. If you don't have tow hooks, of course, you'll have to do some modifications to the trim panel to get this to poke through. Of course, we do have tow hooks, so we don't need to do that. So what we're going to do is put our tow hook underneath, use our factory bolts to rethread them through. All right, repeat for the other side. All right, now we can put our bumper into place. Once your bumper's in place, take your 21mm nuts, thread them onto the studs through those open holes, and tighten them down with your 21mm socket. Repeat that for both sides. Once you have those bolts in place, crawl underneath the bumper and do the same thing for the bolts, holding it to the frame. With all the brackets in place, use a helping hand of a friend to help get the brush guard into place and bolt it down using the hardware provided. Once you have the bolts down on one side, repeat for the other one and then tighten them all down. All right, last step here, we're gonna throw back on our black caps. All right, plug all your lights back in for your fog lights. If you have to go back underneath to plug those in, make sure that's all taken care of and you're good to go. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the Barricade brush guard in black. Also available in the polished stainless steel finish, both of which you can find right here at AmericanTrucks.com.